I think one of the things that I want to say, I don't know if I have a particular name of one human rights defender who I could say is taking up this cause of elimination of discrimination. I think what is important in my region especially is that the whole question of discrimination is not being taken up by the victims alone. So if it's a community that is subject to discrimination, the defenders don't come necessarily just from that community. So there is a much more kind of a broader support for the elimination of discrimination. Some of the people who are well known in their actions for the elimination of discrimination don't belong to the communities that are discriminated against. So I think that they have played a great role in mainstreaming the anti-discrimination movement. Also, if you look at Asia or South Asia, there is not one reason for discrimination. There are several causes of discrimination, and several communities are discriminated against for different reasons. So there is religious discrimination, there is discrimination on the basis of ethnic origin, there is discrimination on the basis of gender, widespread. So these, on sexual orientation, I think this is one of the biggest problems that we as human rights defenders are facing, because there is some of these issues are very taboo. And to break that barrier has been very difficult. But there are people who have done it, and I think who've done it well. First of all, governments in particular have to understand that participatory governance is the best mode of achieving good governance. And by participatory, I mean that all the freedoms that are necessary in order for the people to participate in the governance of their country should be, accessible to these people. Freedom of movement, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, I think is very important, and the freedom of association. So these must be fully guaranteed and fully respected. The other thing that I think is important for human rights defenders to do their work is to be able to do it with safety. So the protection, the national protection systems must be very well aware of this entity called human rights defenders. I don't think that their protection is perhaps is any way more important than the protection of others in terms of protecting their human rights and preventing abuse. But at the same time, these are the people who are going to make visible human rights violations, who have tools that they have constructed over the years in order to deal with violations and to ensure that human rights are respected, so both positive and negative. So I think their protection is absolutely important. I know that all over the world, human rights defenders are the first to be targeted by governments whenever the voices that expose human rights violations or express dissent. Um, these are the voices that are first to be silenced. So I think there are certain rights that have to be particularly guaranteed. Safety has to be guaranteed, and as far as policies are concerned, there have to be policies that facilitate the work of human rights defenders. For instance, giving them access. And I think the preamble to the Declaration on Human Rights Defenders, one of the particular things I like very well is that absence of peace and security doesn't justify any restrictions on rights and any compromise on the fact that rights have to be guaranteed.